Welcome to Rigging on the Coach from Big Bite Bait headquarters here in Eufaula, Alabama. Brandon, we got the new Scentsation. It's out. We had it at ICAST. Everything's going wonderful, man. It's all rocking. It's available now. We're starting to get it in, and customers are beginning to buy it. Just remember now, look for the silver bag when you get ready to purchase the new Scentsation. And it's a new line of baits that's got some really neat things, and we're going to talk about a couple of those later in the show today. But anyway, just want to remind everybody, hey, we got a little music going on today, so it's pretty good. Before we get into the baits, let's talk a little bit about hats. We got a new shipment of hats coming in. I know we got 2 this week that's coming in. It'll be available by the end of the week. We have a couple probably next week coming in. And so we'll be able to offer some different types of hats. So one of the new hats that we've got in is a patch hat. It's a khaki and brown with a brown patch. It looks pretty neat. Really a really nice hat. It's built on a Pacific type hat, and it's really a really good hat. Okay, and then the other hat matches our jersey, which our camo hooded jersey that we already have, and it's in the blue camo to match, and it has the new patch on the front of it in the Big Bite colors. So this is a direct match for that shirt we've already talked about here on the show. And I'll try to remember to bring that shirt next week and show it to everyone. But that's 2 hats that we have in. Should be on the internet for sale, $24.99. Is that right? By the end of the weekend. So definitely check us out for that. Okay. All right. Let's talk about the new Scentsation. All right. So we've got 2 baits I want to talk about today. And one of the ones that I brought in was the skinny stick, which is Michael Neal's favorite bait. And I learned a lot about this at ICAST, just talking with our pros. A lot of them helped developing it. I have it wacky rigged here on a drop shot. But this particular bait comes in 8 colors, I believe.
10
colors, okay. And this is a tilapia one I have rigged, but this is one of the ways you can fish it. Now, Michael Neal told me, and I thought it was really interesting, not only can you fish it this way, you can fish it nose hooked on drop shot. You can put it on whatever kind of finesse rig you want to. It's really universal. And that's what he likes so much about it, is he could fish it a lot of different ways and use the same bait. And it comes in a bunch of new colors, and I think everybody will like it. So make sure that you look definitely for the skinny stick, which is nothing but a slim down trick stick. Okay, that was one of the things I want to share today. The other thing is the one that I like a lot. I can't wait to try this out on our lake, and that is the Quarantine Crawl. And it is a trick stick looking body with the fighting frog legs on it, and I think on a shaky head, that thing's going to be deadly. And just in talking with its formulator, Drew Cook, he told me that he likes to fish this thing a lot of different ways. He likes to do it on a Ned rig head. He likes to fish this thing, excuse me, just like I have it here rigged on a finesse head. And there may be other ways that you would like to fish it. But that thing comes in, I think, 8 colors on this one, right? And 9 colors on this one, okay? So definitely something to look at. It's a pretty neat bait. And keep in mind now, both of these baits are infused with our new scent, which, trust me, just sitting here talking to you guys right now, it's almost burning my nose. I can smell it, you know.
It's powerful.
It's real powerful. If you don't believe me, go check that video out that we've got on the website of everybody sticking their nose in the bag and the reactions. So something definitely to talk about. Now, I would definitely recommend this. I think this is something we're slowly getting it up, and I'd say in the next 30 days we probably should have it all. But anyway, just remember, look for the gray bag, or the gray looking bag with a silver foil on it. And it has a new Scentsation right on the top of it here, and it'll be success. Now the price point on this bait's a little bit more expensive than our regular bait, but not a lot. And we kind of accommodated you by adding more baits in the bag. So definitely check on that for sure. Questions, man? Talk to me. I know you got some over there.
Yeah, well, about the bag there, I know you can see that one's kind of torn. Those bags do come sealed.
Yeah, those bags do come sealed. There's a real good reason for that, because trust me, they are powerful, and you wouldn't want to leave this on your coffee table in your den at night. Your wife probably will. You think she hates fishing now. Leave this on the table so she thinks about fishing when you come back. Definitely.
Absolutely. So let's see. A couple of questions we've got. Baron Broski was asking for uses for the Smalley Smasher, or now I guess the new Sensation Smasher, on how you could rig it besides just a drop shot.
Well, I'm not going to sit here and tell you a story. I think the drop shot is the best way to rig it, bar none. But there's some other ways you could fish. You know, you could actually put that on a Carolina rig if you wanted to. But you could also rig it on like a Ned rig head, or you could put it on, I'm just trying to think of some other ways. You might could even fin twist, or maybe even wacky it in the middle, and that way it would shake, you know. But that would be some ways I would try to fish it. But I do want to make sure I kind of put an exclamation mark there. that drop shot is by far the best way to fish that particular bait.
And designed to be used that way.
That's the way it was designed to be used.
Right.
That's right.
All right, let's see. Yuma Angler was wondering, what is your go-to clear water bait?
Well, I've always thought in clearer water you use clearer baits. And I'm assuming Yuma, you might be from the West Coast. So, a hitch color or some type of AU, all white, something that's very clear, transparent type, or maybe something with a little bit of flash in it, but definitely not a real dark color like a black and red or a black and blue. I've just always been, since I've been fishing, always been taught clear baits and clear water. So something to think about. But I've tried to do something, I think you summed that up earlier, Brandon, something that was natural. I think that's a good way to lead him.
Yeah, not as bold.
Yeah, not as bold. That's a good way. Yeah.
All right. And then let's see. Owen Larson was wanting to know good baits to fish docks with.
Well, I think you attack a dock, Owen, the same way you would any other type of structure. I think, in the spring of the year, you could throw a swim jig or spinner bait around it or even pitch a plastic up around it. I think as it gets on out in the summer, you could put a buzz bait down the sides of it. You could do some different type of things. But I will share one thing with you that I learned that was pretty interesting. I talked with an angler here about a year ago on the phone, and he was taking our warmouth, and he was hooking it flat, and he was throwing it up under the docks and letting it fall, and giving that appearance of a dead fish, maybe beginning to die and flouncing in the water, and he was getting lots of bites that way. And I thought that was kind of unusual, that he was fishing it that way. So it's food for thought. If you hadn't tried that warmouth, you might want to try that at night, around the docks.
Absolutely. Let's see. DD Outdoors was wondering, any advice for fishing a big swim bait, and where would you throw it?
Big swim bait, I personally would throw it out on like some type of structure. Here at our lake, we fish them on ledges, and I put a big head on it, like a 3/4 ounce or a 1 ounce swim bait head, and throw it out, and kind of swim it close to the bottom, and just kind of keep it in the strike zone where those fish are up on the edges of those shells feeding. You want to pull that bait through them where they're feeding at. So that's how I would recommend fishing. It's on a big head of some variety with some heavy duty line and a good stiff rod, definitely. And one thing I will tell you about that bait, that when they hit it, you got to kind of let them chew on it a minute before you set the hook. If they hit it and you snatch, you're probably not going to catch him. You kind of just lean into him when he hits it, and then he kind of almost like he hooks himself.
They almost bite it 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, you can just feel him hitting at it, and you just kind of lean into him, because if you pull it, you're through. Definitely.
And you'd say probably on like a 7.5 foot heavy action
Yeah,
rod.
something heavy, something with some muscle, definitely.
Okay.
Heavy line too.
Let's see, maybe my favorite username here, the Redneck Asian.
All right, Redneck Asian, you're my man.
Wants to know your favorite summertime baits.
Favorite summertime baits, I like in the summer when we talk about plastics, that's just kind of a no-brainer. I like a big 10-inch worm. I like a big finesse worm, the big, what we call the FW8, our 8-inch finesse worm. Those are like go-to baits. I know, Brian, you fish as well. You'll agree with me 100% on that.
Oh, yeah.
That's just kind of the deal. You can fish them a variety of different ways, and they get bites. You can do swing heads, you can do shaky heads, you can do Texas rigs, Carolina rigs with all those baits and catch fish on them. So ways to slow down in deep water in the summer.
Yeah, the only thing I would add is maybe like a fighting frog if you're putting it on a jig.
Yeah, I do that a lot
or,
as well.
When fish get real pressured, you might have to go to your finesse stuff.
Actually, you can do that fighting frog 2 ways. You can put it on a jig with a trailer like a football jig, or you can put it on an open jig with just the fighting frog.
Sure.
So either way.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
All right, and let's see. Matt R. Lax was wondering, what is your favorite or best nighttime bait?
Okay, well, I'm not much of a nighttime fisherman, but just in talking with some guys I know that like to nighttime fish, and just in having general conversations over the last 8 or 10 years, a lot of guys opt to throw like a spinner bait at night, or to throw a swim bait, or maybe a crankbait, even like a shallow running crankbait around, the areas. But you can also throw plastic the same way. It's no different fishing in the daylight in a way. I mean, you just, you have to learn to get your feel down and be able to maybe fish with not as much vision. If you're a line watcher, you're in trouble. I mean, that's the problem, so something to think about. But that's kind of how I would attack it. And like I said, I haven't done a lot of that, but I talked to some guys, and I think the reaction bait's what you look for first at night, and
Sure.
then maybe slow down and try to get a bite some other way.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess just that, like in the day, there's feeding windows
Yeah.
and all kind of stuff you got.
I do believe you catch bigger fish at night, because they seem to be much more open-eyed than they do in the daytime.
Less pressured and
less pressured, and they guys many yahoos out there chasing them around like me. So it's all good. But definitely want to remind you about the hats again. Check our website out, and we'll see y'all right here next Monday at Live with the Coach. Take care.